Hi, and welcome back to the couch. I'm Alicia, also known as AK47 on Ravelry, and you can find me as lupinehook on Instagram. And this is my journaling of my knitting and my sewing projects. This is mid-November, and I can't believe that we're coming up on Thanksgiving already. I don't even, Halloween came and went, and I didn't really notice it. And now we're into November, and there's Christmas all around. There's Christmas all around me too, because I've been doing Christmas stars in my sewing. And so let me give you a little recap of what's going on with Sean. Found out he has tendonitis, and the tendonitis was from rope climbing and how he manipulates the rope with his right arm. So we have stopped rope climbing, which is fine. This isn't the season for it anymore. We're going into winter. And so we're bouldering more. We've gotten back into the gym. Thank goodness. Being away from our workout session for the last couple months has been very trying for me. So I'm glad that we're back to schedule. My back is feeling like it's back in shape again, slowly but surely. This is not the fun part for me, coming back from 3 months of not really working out much, right? So Sean got an injury. We decided, okay, instead of training between climbing sessions when we were outside, just do 2 days a week on ropes. Now, ropes make us weaker, period, because it's a lot of straight up and down climbing, where in our bouldering world, we definitely do a lot of overhung, dangling like a sloth from a tree, which requires more core, more upper body strength. It's less balancy, right? You're using your bigger muscles to do stuff. So I'm just glad that we're back to working out on regular. We're going 2 to 3 times a week, and we should be back to our normal selves in a few more weeks, which would be really nice because doing the lower grades and just doing a lot of them is really boring to me. But I know that I need to slowly come back to shape. So that's our front from the bouldering side of things. But let's jump right into finished things because it's been a few weeks. And so I've finished a few things. Most of this is going to be centered around knitting. I know, when has that happened recently? Not often. And then I have some sewing to show you and to talk about some things that are keeping me busy as for right now. I've made notes today, so if I'm looking down, it's so that I remember everything, because last time I had to add a little extra at the end because I'm not very good at keeping myself on track when I'm by myself. So let's jump right in. And let's start with something that's not here. So I will insert a picture. I finished Mom's socks recently because last you saw I was only the toe box away. So that is using fish belly fibers in the colorway Summer Sunset and Tree Line Streets. Those are both from Fish Belly Fiberworks. Hi, Holly! And she is my yarn sponsor for the pattern that I'm coming out with very soon. And she and I are going to announce that pattern with her newsletter. And we're also talking about pairing some colorways for her to sell kits with the release of my pattern. So if you guys are interested in the colors that you have been seeing by my testers and I for these socks, you can support Holly in the making of your socks. That would be really amazing. So keep an eye out. It's coming. I'm waiting on my a few more things to be done. I have the large sock to finish. And both of my testers are working on the medium right now. We need to pool our information, and so I can put more specifics into the pattern before I release it. And I'd like to get some pictures. I have a few things to finish before that's ready, but the socks are getting close to done, so that's exciting. I've been knitting along with the Harry Potter knit along through O-Loops yarn, and there's a challenge for Preemie hats. So this is something that I've never made before, and they're tiny and quick, and it was coming to the end of October, so their first month of challenges, and Ravenclaw was kind of behind the Gryffindor house. So I was like, well, I'll just finish some things. So I made some Preemie hats. This was the first one I did. Tiniest of tiny. This is the Basic Baby Hat by Heather Tucker. Super simple pattern. It's free on Ravelry. This comes in a variety of sizes, and Preemie is the smallest one. It's super tiny. I finished this, and Sean was not in the mood to do the KNITMAS drawing of names. And so I stuck all your guys' names in this tiny little hat. And so this was our tiny little sorting hat for KNITMAS. And that got him into the spirit of picking names and and picking partners for our secret swap. So this was delightful. And I used Leading Men Fiber Arts. And this is his Dramaturg base, which is a DK weight. And I used 23 grams of this colorway, which is Breaking Ground. There we go. It's a nice, beautiful tonal brown. So beautiful. This is leftovers from my Jody shawl that I made earlier this year. And the second Preemie hat made of the same colorway, so that's Breaking Ground by Leading Men Fiber Arts. This is Hello Preemie by Heather Walpole, also another free pattern. Now, I didn't go to script because that's using a worsted weight yarn and this is a DK weight. So I used the same stitch count as I got from this hat, which was intended to be DK weight. And I cast on that same amount for this. It's got a rolled brim, so there's no pearls in this at all. You don't go as tall as this one, so it's not as deep as the first hat. But Preemies come in all different sizes, so I'm hoping that this is going to be fitting a tiny little human in its future, as a future self. So these are going to be sent out to Lydia, who's hosting that Harry Potter knit along, and she's donating it to a local charity near her. So I'm excited to have participated in a Preemie make for the first time ever. If you have the smallest scraps of DK or worsted weight, these things fly off the needles. Okay, so let's talk. Sean, if you're watching, and I know you do, so can you look right now and see when you should skip ahead so you don't see your Christmas event that I've been working on? So this has been my effort, right? So Sean and I share the same PayPal. So anytime I make a purchase on Ravelry or anywhere else, he gets the notification that I've bought a pattern, right? So in order to keep this secret, I've been needing to find ornaments and things that are free. So I can just download it as a free download. Nothing comes to our receipt folder that I've bought something, so that I can keep this all on the DL, right? On the down low, that I'm making a little advent calendar for Sean, right? So I happen to have this one in my queue. So this is the only one that is going to require a payment. Okay. So this is the Little Sock Ornament by Tin Can Knits. It is from their Great White North book. And you can also purchase it independently of that. But super cute. And it is a top-down heel flap and gusset, coordinating heels, toes, and cuffs ornament. And I am super pleased with it. Oh my god, it's so darling. Now, it's not quite of the same scale as my first one. It's rather large. It's a little bit bigger, but I think I'm going to go with it. I was going to rethink it, but I'm really happy with it. And I showed him the two colors. He didn't know what I was making, but I asked him, if using these two colors, which one would you rather see more of? And he said the brown. So that is Leading Men Fiber Arts in their Dramaturg base in the Breaking Ground colorway. And the green is Malabrigo Rios, which is a worsted weight. And that's the Lettuce colorway. I love that green. So, second one down. The third one that I've made so far is this tiny little mitten. I know. So this is the Teeny Tiny Mitts ornament by Anna Campos. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. Isn't that stinking cute? The yarn is actually an unknown colorway, but I got it from Kimmy Ann 93 in a swap we did last year. It is self-striping. So it started off in that blue, went into that speckle for the stripe, and then the next stripe came up right at the tip of the fingers, and I got it right into the thumb. So kind of planned. A planned, unplanned mitten with coordinating heels and cuffs. Heels and thumbs. It's so fun. So super tiny. Now the thumb was a little bit fiddly, and I am just doing a crocheted cord and tying it in at the top. So those 3 are ready for the tree. So 3 are knit, and then the next 3 are sewn. So this is the one, now I haven't figured out how I'm going to hang these. I think I want to get a little grommet kind of machine, you know, the handheld snapping ones for these guys. So this is the reason why I bought pinking shears, was for this little gem. Now they're matching fabric, but there was 2 different Santas on it. And I did some free motion quilting, or point to point quilting. Is that what it's called? Super fun. Love them. So that was just a hoot. This is done by cutting, using a cookie cutter for your pattern, cutting it out. I put them back to back, and I cut out the 2 fabric at the same time. And then I cut out batting to put in there, because I made the first one without it, and it was quite flimsy. And I wasn't impressed with that. So this is probably going to be added to something else, maybe a bag or something at a later date. But it's super cute. Or maybe a little hot pad. That'd be cute. So it's not getting thrown away, but it's gonna have to be something else. But the last ornament that I started, that you saw on the last episode, where it was just a disc, it was a 5-inch diameter disc. So I used the saucepan lid as my pattern to get the diameter I wanted. The pattern was from a tutorial about, and it's called a folded fabric ornament. Information down here. And I followed it mostly, but I modded it to be smaller because I'm making small ornaments for a small tree, right? So I went for a 5-inch diameter, and I did some folding and some sewing, and I added a button, and that's my folded fabric ornament, and I'm so pleased with it. And if you look at the back, it's got a little poinsettia flower on the back. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So I need to make a matching one of that. This is about the size, right? They're all about the same size. And here I'll show you the sweater for comparison. So I'm doing pretty well at making the same gauge of ornament for this tree that's going to happen. So I still have a few things to do, but I started in on that sewing FO, right? So I guess I should go right into sewing with. I've been so busy. I have a couple things going on, right? So I had more wonky stars to make, and I have a quilt that is green fleece lined, right? And man, did it wash me out. So I had to accommodate a backing quilt to the quilt that could hold my quilt stars, because I was noticing that people have this working board that they stick their cotton blocks to, so you can kind of get a feel for what your quilt's going to look like in the end. And they stick right to it. It's pretty amazing. Yay, fleece. So yeah, so I made 9 stars for my partners, and they're all of the same size and feel of this guy. So I will show you this one. So center stamp, and I got nutcrackers in there and a candy cane, probably the smallest bit of a candy cane right there. Some holly, a poinsettia, a snowflake. Super fun. So much fun. And the background fabric is a cream color this time because I couldn't find white with a Christmas theme. So I found some trees, some snowflakes, and then my mom did a Christmas dress for my nieces, full skirt, and lots of Christmas scraps. So she had some scraps, and I realized my 3 fat quarters couldn't make all the backgrounds for 9 blocks. So she helped me with this Have a Holly Jolly Christmas background fabric. I was showing this to Annetta during my day of sewing, and this actually took 2 days to do 9 stars. She says, oh, with that fabric right at the bottom of the star, it kind of looks like a tree topper. So I'm going to go with it. These are my tree topper stars that are going out to my partners tomorrow. I'm very excited. I actually got into a nice groove. I didn't have to take out anything. Everything was lining up. I was in a groove, and I was kind of afraid to get excited about it because then it might get ruined. But I just banged these out. I was super thrilled. I think I finally found that moment where I was my 1/4 inch seams were going well, and yeah, everything was happy. So beyond the stars, I am working on something for my mom. A few weeks ago, I saw a call out for a sew along for a maker's mat. It's called the Undercover Maker's Mat. So this is a mat, like a place mat, but bigger, for your sewing machine to sit on, right? So it'll sit on half of it, and then on the half that goes past the table and hangs down, there's pockets that you make for this mat, and a thread catcher, which I haven't made the thread catcher yet. And actually, I haven't made any of it in full yet, just pieces. So I'm going to show you the pieces to this mat that I've been working on. So my theme is pineapples. My mom loves pineapples. So I started off as this being my inspiration. I'm going to draw all the colors out from this fabric. This is fabric that I use to make bags for my testers for my sock. Back in June, I met up with them in person, and I met up with Holly, and she gave me yarn. I passed the yarn on to my makers, and I also inserted that into a bag that I gave them at ZK 2018. So inspiration board is this piece of fabric. I made a pineapple from a tutorial I found online, and I've listed it below because it escapes me right now what it's called. I am missing the bottom of the pineapple because part of me wanted to angle this pineapple at the bottom or at the top of my mat. I'm thinking that's a little ambitious, so I'm just going to turn it on end, add the 2 corner pieces that makes it a pineapple. It's a free tutorial on YouTube. Super easy, super fun. I had to slow it down to a slower speed because there's no verbiage, it's just music behind this tutorial. And then at the bottom, it tells you the pieces that you're working with, right? So to get the dimensions, I was pausing and replaying, and yeah. So that was kind of fun, and it made a pineapple. I have a pineapple pattern that I've shown you guys, but I wasn't ready to do all the piecing involved for this part. So I started off with baby piecing, which this was brilliant, super fast, super fun. I'm very pleased with it. And then I also got my pocket, the front panel of my pockets done. I started off a couple weeks ago making this pieced pineapple body right there. And this is a reduction of the piece by piece pineapple pattern. So it's supposed to be twice this size. And so I minimized it, thinking, oh, I could get that whole pineapple in a 5-inch block, right? Oh, but that's okay. I'm going to add the top of that pineapple to the body of the mat. So this is the bottom pocket. So that's going to be a pocket. And then that pineapple is going to be a pocket. You're not going to see it. You're only going to see the top of this pineapple. And then that's a pocket. And then I didn't have orange or black, right? But I had this black and white pineapple that I wanted to use in this. So in order to introduce the black and white pineapple, I needed to add a black fabric with pineapples in it, right? And then the original fabric didn't have orange, but I was really drawn to this orange. So I added a pocket there. Now there's pockets in front of these pockets, right? So I have those made too. And they made theirs with selvage, you know, the selvage strip that tells you the title of your fabric name and who made it, and then the circles of color that you can find in the fabric. Well, I don't have a lot of those. So I decided just to string piece this rectangle that's going to cover up this end of things, right? Did you see how well I placed that pineapple so that it's still going to show even with this smaller pocket in front? And then I also string pieced this guy. They also used selvage for this, selvage strips, selvage title strips, maybe is that's what it's called. And so I used my favorite greens and blues to make for cover that pocket. Yeah, so I brought in the orange on the strip piecing here to go with the orange in the pocket there. So maybe it goes, maybe it doesn't, maybe I don't care. Scrappy, happy, it's gonna be fun. Now, my mother loves purple as much as I do, but I couldn't seem to figure out how to integrate purple into this whole mess. So it's gonna be the backing. It's gonna incorporate the bright green of this guy and this guy and purple. So that'll be the backing and it'll be more fun. Now, I'm making this a bit more complicated, right? So the main, you could get a lot of this done already. So the first steps is to do just a solid piece for the main part of the mat. But I want to put a pineapple on it, so I'm making it a little bit more complicated and convoluted than it needs to be. But if you are a sewist and an accomplished sewist, you can get all kinds of creative. And they're doing a sew along on Instagram, and I've put the hashtag right there so you can see, and you can go out and see what other people are doing. So hers is themed off of a butterfly. So she has a foundation paper piece butterfly where I have this pineapple, right? So hers is very different than mine. Instead of piecing things, you can just have a solid piece of fabric. You can make it as simple or as complicated and elaborate as you want. So really it's, this is the foundation and you can do with what you want. So if you are interested in this, and there's 2 more weeks in this sew along, and honestly, that's 2 full days of sewing for me. And I'm not a sewist in any shape or form. So I'm a little behind the curve of everybody else. But, you know, I'm setting challenges that are personal goals for myself, and knowing that this is going to be a gift from my mom. And honestly, you can't do anything wrong if you're making something for your own mom, right? They're going to love it, even when it's got the biggest flaws that you're not even sure you're okay with. They're going to love it to death. She's going to love it because every time she sees this pineapple fabric, she just about squeeze. So I'm doing all the lining of all the pockets in the pineapple, and the bottom of the mat that's going to be behind the pocket is also going to be pineapple, mostly because I don't have a lot of background fabric. See? They look like water droplets. So it's white on white fabric, water droplets. I used it in the piecing of the pineapple. You can see it, yeah, you can see it there. I've got ribbon with polka dots on it. That's going to be embellishments at the pocket seams, right? The vertical pocket seams that you're going to make, I'm going to make, will be embellishments between pockets. I'm really excited. And that's going to draw to the background fabric, which is droplets. So it'll be droplets with polka dots, right? White on white polka dots, white on white droplets, sensing a theme. I'm getting really excited about it. At first, the first piece that I made was that pineapple pieced thing, and I made the challenge myself. I decided that it wasn't small enough, so I'm going to go smaller, and that required me to do the 4-in-1 half square triangles on a 2.5-inch square, right? So you get a 2-inch square, and then you sew the perimeter, and then you cut it diagonals, and you get 4 half square triangles out of it. So we're talking about the smallest half square triangles I've ever worked with and ever seen in real life. So that was a bit of a challenge, because then you had to piece those half square triangles together to get your pineapple. Right? So this is tiny. There's lots of pieces going on back there. Super fun pattern. I believe it was free. Anyway, so I'm making a pineapple mat from my mom's sewing machine, because I use her sewing machine every time I go out and see her. And I'm thinking that I need to find a way to have a sewing machine in my house. So I got together with a friend of mine who is a very talented sewist. Like, he's been sewing since he was 4 or 5, and his grandmother taught him. Well, he offered me her old Singer. So the original Singers that had power. He has one of those, and it's in the tiniest little antique suitcase. It's got to be like this big. It's the most darling thing I've ever seen. So he's offered it to me to use at my house, because honestly, I'm doing simple straight lines for the most part. I may not do foundation paper piecing with this, but I could work on my mom's project here. I could work on squares for swaps that just require straight stitching. I think I get a lot done on this little workhorse of a machine. And the tutorial I watched in order to make this guy happen was on that same machine. So I'm sure I'm gonna be fine with it. I was a little intimidated by the offer, so I haven't brought it home. But I'm hoping that we're gonna do a little sewing circle of 2 here in Seattle, rather than me traveling by train and by bus and walking to get to my parents' house. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna have a local sewing circle. And speaking of sewing circles, I should probably tell you guys, I have found a knitting circle. Now, there are no LYSs near me. I am at the very south end of Seattle. Not convenient. I don't have any convenient LYSs near me. So we meet at a coffee shop. And actually, I happened upon it because our car broke down. Yeah, that's been stories. The last 3 weeks, we've repaired 3 things. In the last month, we've repaired 3 things in our van, and we're still not done. I'm waiting on a part right now that needs to be jerry-rigged to work, because they don't make this part anymore for the van. Don't even get me started. We have a special snowflake of a Euro van that Volkswagen has just decided that it's going to become obsolescent, because it was the only style that required certain parts, and we're just not going to make those parts anymore. And you're just going to deal with it. And they should be retired by now. Volkswagen, come on, really? You have old school minibuses that are still on the road, but you've decided that the 95 Euro van doesn't need to exist anymore. Really? So we're dealing with that. It's been crazy. So anyway, my car was broke down. Luckily, we were marooned at home, right? It just wasn't starting. Battery was dead. We hadn't dealt with it yet, right? We realized it at that moment when we were going to go out to Raconteur, which is probably a little over a mile from here. Gonna go grab dinner. So Sean looks at me and I look at him. I said, we're able-bodied. Do you want to just walk? And he said, sure. I said, it's uphill one way, so the trip home is going to be great. So we walked out to Raconteur. It was sprinkling. It was a nice night. We're having dinner, and Sean says to me, why don't we grab a hot chocolate and a coffee across the street, and walk home with at least something warm in our hands, because it was the beginning of fall. It was a couple weeks ago. It was chilly. So we pop in and I look over and there's a whole group of like 3 tables put together of knitters hanging out. So of course I introduced myself like they should already know me because I knit and you knit, so we're gonna be instant friends, right? Yeah, duh. But I went the following week. And then the next time I went to go, my car was broke down again. And then it was pouring. So we didn't feel like walking over a mile in the rain. And this wasn't just sprinkles, fun sprinkles of Seattle. This was downpour that we experienced 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's been a time. Anyway, so I met a knitting circle and I love them and they're fantastic. And it's kind of nice to just meet at a coffee shop. So you're not obligated to buy yarn or, buy notions that you don't even need. You can just show up and have a tea or a coffee that you're out less than $5 and you're spending a couple hours with some knitting friends. Yeah. Oh, I love this. I love it so much. So I'm really stoked that I found the Columbia City Knitters and I am new to their ranks. So if you guys have found me, hi. And I am really enjoying the group. We're going out to dinner tonight. So every second Tuesday of the month, we go out to Chinese food. I hope we knit. I'm so excited. But even if we just eat, that's okay too. So this is Chinese food where they have a Lazy Susan and these huge tables, like seats 8, and has a Lazy Susan in the middle. So you get your shared stuff, right? Your big bowl of whatever you ordered. And then we're going to share food. It's going to be so awesome. I'm so excited. And then I'm bringing home leftovers because Sean has decided that that is really good Chinese food, which is awesome because we've been looking for a Chinese restaurant out here, but didn't want to go through the process of finding terrible Chinese food. You know what I'm talking about. When you just want to find the good one right away. My knitting group found me my Chinese food. I'm so excited. I love it so much. So that's tonight. I think I've covered... Have I not even talked about knitting? I haven't. Okay, so let's talk about knitting. The main challenge for October for the Harry Potter knit along is requiring of 400 yards. The theme is Wands Up for Dumbledore. So main character guy. Now, do you remember when they were talking about Christmas at one time? And I think Harry asks Dumbledore what he wants for Christmas or something, or what he gets for Christmas. And he tells him what he normally gets, but what he really wants is socks. So I'm making socks. Now these socks, if you were paying attention when I bought the yarn, which was a few episodes ago, I told you that I needed to make Dad socks. And Dad has huge feet. And I used 100 grams in the last pair that I made him. And I always have to break into other yarn in order to make him socks because 100 grams is just not enough, right? So I bought 2 skeins of, I'll show you this guy because he's not knit in yet, of Cornish Pixies. So it's a bunch of blues and it fades into a really dark purple in there as well. I don't know if you'll get the hint of purple in there, but it's in there. And when I show you my sock that I've been knitting on, you should be able to see it. So this is Perfection Knot, which is her 75-25 base, 463 yards. So you know it's my favorite base. And this is O-Loops. She hosts this Harry Potter knit along. So I've been working on a sock. So this is the Golden Ticket sock by Paper Daisy. Okay, now, if you've seen this sock before, it's probably been done in a solid color. For a good reason, right? Because there is texture in there that you may not be picking up on because of the colorway I decided to do it in, which is hugely variegated. Okay, now this one pooled kind of fun, right? This was my second sock that I started. Now the first sock was spiraling and I was so happy with it. So it's got a great detail up top. Can you see it there? And then a different motif for the whole sock, right? Now hers is toe up. I don't like toe up socks, so I just reversed it to be cuff down. So I started off with my ribbing and then did that tiny motif and then the mane. Isn't that beautiful? So this is part of her Willy Wonka series that she is, I think they're all released now. I feel like there's 4 socks and maybe this was the extra 5th top sock. She did an along for it and I think it's ending, it might have ended at the end of October. I did not participate because it was to do all 4 of her socks or something, or 1 sock of every pattern that she released in 2 months. And I was like, ambitious. And it's not going to go along with this knit along. But anyway, by the time I did the cuff, and now both cuffs were done, 8.5 inches, I went and looked up on average what a sock height for certain sizes. This is something it never even occurred to me that the height of your sock changes with the length of your sock, right? Like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? But it's something that just never occurred to me. So when my dad told me with the last socks I made him that his legs were cold, i.e. the cuffs are too short, I thought he was crazy, right? So I looked it up. And for a men's US 11, minimum of 8-inch cuff. I had no idea. So I made 8.5-inch cuffs just in case. And there's give. It's probably going to be taller than 8.5 inches, but it's 8.5, no blocking at this point. And then I started in on my heel flap and gusset. This is not her pattern, right? Because hers is a toe up. It's not a heel flap and gusset. But I'm doing my own thing. I tend to do that. Nobody's the boss of me but me. And so I've gotten through the gusset and I'm into the foot. I saw my father this past weekend, but it wasn't at a spot where he could try it on. And if he saw it, he would bug me about it. You have those people you know for that as soon as they find out you're making something for them, it's no longer fun because now they're like, is it done? How about now? How about now? So I haven't told them that these are even on the needles, but I am super thrilled. It's starting to spiral again in the foot, and I hope he likes it. I think I'm going to keep the pooling of the purple-ish color, dark blue, on the back of this sock. He loves blue. He loves navy blue. So I think I'm going to keep this as the front of his sock, and then that'll be party in the back, little mullet action of sock. I anticipate using over one skein. So I decided to do these in tandem. So they're both worked off the same skein, but different ends of the ball, right? So it's getting smaller. Let's see, comparatively, it's getting smaller. So when I broke for the heel of the first sock, I had 57 grams left, but I feel like this was a heavy skein. So I feel like I had used 50% of the skein before I even did my heels. So I'm probably going to finish off one sock from this skein and hopefully use the entire rest of the skein for it, but I probably have more yarn than I think I do. And I'm hoping to I intend to use more than 400 yards because that is the minimum requirement for the November main challenge. It occurs to me that I don't really show my bags, so maybe I should show this bag. So that's Rainstorm Studios. I got this at my first Zombie Knitpocalypse. So that was in 2015. So I don't even know if she's still around. I will have looked it up, and if she is still around, I will have her information at the bottom. This really lent to my nerdy side. It's got some OChem on there, some physics, some geometry actions, sinusoidal waves. Yeah, it's Good deal. All kinds of nerd just for me. So that was from a retreat. I did make progress, a little bit of progress, on my Hohi Locatelli lemongrass. So last you saw it, I had finished my third skein. And I had done 10 inches of the front panel, which is what the pattern calls for, is 10 inches. And then you do some shaping and then, ribbing, right? Well, I had my fourth skein all caked up. Might as well do something with it. I made the back. And the back, because it doesn't have the basket weave that the front does, I got 11 inches of straight stockinette on the back by the time I ran out of yarn. So a full skein was knit since last I saw you. I think I even pulled this out before I even edited the last video, and I had this knit up and ready for this video a couple weeks ago. So this is moving right along. Now, the woman I'm making this is a commission for my friend Lisa. She is shorter of stature than me, and we talked about how long she wanted this. Now, she saw the original picture of it, and it's kind of a cropped sweater, and she did not want a cropped sweater. Now, I haven't seen her since we talked about me knitting this for her, so I feel like this is a good place where I've got the sleeves on hold, and I've got the front and back panel, so I could try it on her right now. This is a good place to try it on. So I'm going to do that. Should see her soon. But she is shorter than me, but we were thinking at least adding 3 more inches to the front and back panel before we start in on the ribbing and the extras. Now, you can't even do the sleeves until the ribbing is done for the front, right? Because the ribbing does the whole scoop. I wanted to have it all done and then just be working on the length of it when I had just a few skeins left and I could go willy-nilly for the length of it. But the construction is not going to allow for that. But if I were following pattern right now, 4 skeins got me to the shaping, the front and back panels, and then sleeves are left. I have 6 more skeins. Annetta is also knitting lemongrass with me, and she beat me. She's done. Hers is beautiful. Have you seen it? It's charcoal. It's in the finished object thread of the knit along, this year's Tops knit along in the Loop and About podcast group on Ravelry. Anyway, she beat me. She beat me by a lot. And she says that it takes less than a skein to do a sleeve. So really, I have 4 skeins to work with to make whatever length Lisa wants. Whatever Lisa wants. So plenty of yarn. I don't think I'm playing yarn chicken. And I don't know what I would do with the leftovers. So I kind of hope she wants it really long. So I know you're going to say, geez, Alicia, you really don't like to repeat patterns. Well, I started the large size of the test pattern I'm doing for myself, and I'm doing it for Sean. And I did a little bit different this time. Maybe that's what keeps me going, is that all these are different. The first one was purple and green for me, and then the second one was coral and green for Mom, and this one's going to be coral and green for Sean. But I decided to do the heel flap and the cuff for Sean in green, and then the toe in the coral. So I'm going to see if I'm going to use exactly half and half of the colorways if I do it this way. So I talked about it last time that maybe you can interpolate the colors so that you do heel, flap, and gusset and toe in one color and then use the opposite color in the second sock. Well, I'm just going to do these matching, but with, coral at one end, green at the other. I've got a hoe, and I've started in on his second sock. So I've designed this sock to have less ends to tuck in, right? So it's going to be a 2-color sock. But do you notice that with some 2-color socks with a contrasting heel and toe, you have all these ends to weave in, right? So I decided that in order to eliminate some of those ends, we're gonna do a really short cuff straight into the heel in the same color, right? You don't pick up this secondary color until you're starting in on the gusset. Smart, right? So you'll really only have 4 ends to tuck in instead of a billion. You're welcome. So yeah, so I've started the shortest little cuff, got the heel flap and the turn, and I'm just picking up. This is the first row of the secondary color. So I'm really excited. This should start flying now that it's going to be stripes. And there's something about these micro stripes that it's motivating even more than self-striping yarn is. Have you guys done micro stripe socks? Megan Williams has a lot of them. I did a scrappy sock for Sean a couple years back of Desert Vista Dye Works, because you could do one Franken sock in her knit along, her year-long knit along, and that one I chose to do a micro striped one as well. It's super motivating. So yeah, so that should be done next time I see you. And that is my pattern, which I still haven't gotten a title for. I might have to go my ethnic background on it and just do the Hawaiian term for the motif that this is. So I've been knitting this, and this has been my to-go bag, and this tends to be my to-go bag. It has a pop-up VW on it, and that's what I have, but I don't have the old style. I have the newer Eurovan with the little pop top. There's gotta be one where the pop top's up, right? There you go. Little pop top. So we have a pop top Eurovan with the interior by Winnebago. So yes, this is my Binkwaffle bag. I picked it up at an LYS that is no longer with us anymore. That was Bad Woman Yarn. It used to be in Wallingford, one of the neighborhoods in Seattle. Love it. The kind that you can just wear on a hand, and it's got that huge grommet that you feed the loop through. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So, a hoe and a second sock. That should be done the next time I see you. A lot of sewing. Now, I only went out to my parents' house once since I saw you. So the 2 days of sewing was super productive. And I started something for Sean. So Sean's birthday, as I told you last time, is in the beginning of December. So he's getting this advent calendar for his lead up to his birthday, and then that's all Christmas themed, right? He loves Christmas, bonkers for Christmas. So I'm making this advent calendar, and I'm going to go get him a tree, and he's going to have a tree skirt, because that's another thing I'm making for him, hopefully. Oh my gosh. Where am I finding this time to get out to my parents' house and make him stuff? I don't know. I'm hoping. So advent calendar leading up to his birthday, and it's his 40th birthday, so this is kind of a big deal, guys. So I'm making him a foundation paper pieced mini quilt for his office wall, and I'm so excited. I found a time to do his thing. I had 2 hours. It's almost done. The front of it's almost done. I'm so excited. It's probably gonna be that big. Now, you know me, I plan my projects for sewing, and what I really need to learn is how to bind. You know, that nice frame of binding that you see on finished quilts and things. I need to learn that. I'm not very good at top stitching, so my confidence is pretty low on that, and that's what's been keeping me from doing it. So I am just gonna do it. So I'm gonna do it on his mini quilt, and the Christmas stars that are coming in from my partners to me are going to make Sean something. And I'm hoping to make another little mini quilt that will also double as an advent calendar. I'm so excited. So there's a lot going on sewing wise, and yeah, number one top priority is Mom's mat, and that's why I brought it home. Just in case I do sewing circle with my friend, I will have this to work on, which I need to finish. And it's because I made it harder than I should have. But go big or go home, right? So last thing I'm going to talk about is KNITMAS. KNITMAS partners have been announced. I am so thrilled. So thrilled. Everyone has been happy with who they received. Thank goodness. No modifications have had to be made. I am super thrilled. I already know what I'm making my partner. She did have a few specifics that I'm definitely going to accommodate. Thankfully, we have a lot of people in our group that like pink, and I happen to get a partner who loves pink. And I have had a set of yarns from Among Friends. I don't even know if they're still around. Among Friends used to be a themed club, and on this one I think it was all American. So this is a Pigeon Roof Studios yarn, and it was a set. It's a charcoal and a pink, and then I'm going to pair a third color because those two together, it was like a partial skein of both colors, and it might be a little bit over. I think together they make one skein, and the requirements for KNITMAS is 2 skeins. So I'm going to pair it with a third color, which I haven't decided. Actually, I have decided, but I can't tell you about it because I feel like if I told you all the colors that I'm going to use, it might give away who my partner is. Maybe. Does it matter that my partner might know that she is my partner? No, but it is a little bit more fun to keep that suspense just into December at least. So I'm going to start my project for my KNITMAS partner December 1st, and I'm very, very excited about it. I have wanted to do something with these 2 skeins for so long, but again, pink. And then I thought, well, I could just use the gray, and then the pink can just float around in my stash forever and never find happiness, right? At least not for me. And then I just couldn't do it. I couldn't break the skeins, right? Because it was the same dyer and they were paired together, so they should go together, right? So they were stuck as a pair in my head and in my stash. So now they don't have to sit in my stash any longer. I'm so excited. So I won't mind using it, but I knew I wasn't going to wear it, so I'm super stoked. This is going to be a wearable gift for my KNITMAS partner. I'm so excited. And I might be doing a pattern over again. I'm going between something that is super, that is highly, that is cabled, but I really like the construction of something that I've already made. It'd be fast, because I'm using 2 skeins of yarn, right? So I kind of want something that's going to move quickly, but I'm going between 2 patterns. One is cabled, and one is garter. So I have to decide that, but I have till December. I need to get through my dad's sock, because that's the big 50 points for Ravenclaw that I need to get done. If you haven't realized that you have a partner, it was sent from my account or Annetta's account, and it's in your Ravelry inbox. Until we knit again, and until we sew again, bye.